guys, welcome back to the channel. I am so excited. In today's video where I'm making a rhubarb wine. Look at that little beauty. If you follow the channel, you know that I have an allotment and I have a lot of rhubarb growing there, and I was so excited and so waiting for such a while for it to come up and be ready to harvest it. And hey presto, this morning I popped into the allotment and we harvested the lovely rhubarb. So we are making a rhubarb wine finally, and I'm making a big batch because, like I said to you guys before, the wine takes a quite while to sit there to ferment and to be ready to be consumed. So if I'm wasting a really large bucket, so I might as well fill it up to the top and get as much wine out of it as possible for the time and resources invested into that. So the first things first, guys, rhubarb, we can't eat the leaves, so we're going to chop the leaves and I'm going to chop the ends. I'm going to give them a really good wash, and I shall see you back in a second and we'll go through the proportions and what else we need. So guys, I've dealt with the rhubarb now, and this is what we have left. There's literally just short of 2 kilos, which is perfect. I was aiming for 2 kilos, so that's absolutely fine. So 2 kilos of rhubarb, I have 2 kilos of sugar, I have half a cup of raisins, I have a grape juice concentrate, this is 250 ml. And I have the wine yeast and nutrient in one. You can use that separate wine yeast and wine nutrient, that's absolutely fine. I've bought one all together, which just makes life a little bit easier. And I have 3 5-litre bottles of water. So my aim is to make roughly 15 litres of wine. We'll have to add on a little bit of more hot water. And when you do transfer the wine from initial compartment to the other compartment, there will be wastage anyway, so I am hoping to get to approximately 12 bottles of wine. So without further ado, guys, the best thing, okay, is to deal with our rhubarb, is to bosh the rhubarb, because all we want is to get the flavour out of the rhubarb and of course that beautiful rhubarb colour. The wine, like I did this before, it should come up like a light rosé wine, but because I have the mixture of 2 types of rhubarb, some of them are not red, so they might not be as rosé as I would like it to be. However, this is kind of the idea. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to bosh the rhubarb, and you can see breaking it up a little bit, and I'm going to chop it up in little pieces like that. I'm going to do this off the camera, little bits like this, and we're going to put this in a big brewing jug. So without further ado, I shall continue with this and I shall see you in a second. Alright guys, we are done. One of the main things, again, to remind you, discard any of the pieces of the things that have anything in them. So anything basically less than perfect does not go in there, and make sure all of your equipment is sterilized, your worktops, your hands, anything that produce will touch, that goes in there, just to minimize any spoilage. So all the stuff is in here, all rhubarb is in there. I've boiled a kettle, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to pour a boiling water over the rhubarb. Do you mind the splats? Okay. It smells uber fresh. Somewhat reminds me of a celery smell. Give it a mix up quickly. Rhubarb, I forgot to say, like for all you guys in the States or different countries, rhubarb in the UK is extremely expensive considering how easy it is to grow if you get the soil right. It's £2.75 for 2 sticks of rhubarb. It's absolutely it's ridiculous. I haven't made a rhubarb wine for quite a long time because my rhubarb didn't do well when we moved to Wales here, but it did well in an allotment. But I have grown a rhubarb before, a long time ago. Anyway, so next thing is we're getting in our sugar. And I'm going to start adding our water. Okay, let's get both of them in there. Put it in there. Sugar goes in. Again, you can use a mixture of brown sugar, whatever sugar you prefer. In this instance, I want the wine to be quite a lightly white, yellowy color, reddish color, sorry, rather than a yellowy hinge to it. So, sugar's in. Oh yeah, introducing my invention. To wash the demi-drums, I could never find a decent brush or anything that actually gets to the bottom of the demi-drums. So I've taped up a little sponge thing to the end of my spoon. Right, okay, that's in. Next thing, I'm putting in half a cup of raisins. Okay. And I am adding on the white grape concentrate. You can totally not put this in if you don't want to. That bottle I think was about tenner. However, I find that this adds on a little bit more depth to any sort of white wine or fruit wine that you make. As I said, you don't have to use that, but the wine will be a little bit more drier. Because it's quite an acidic wine, that kind of speeds up the process of fermentation, because too much acid could literally slow down the yeast quite a lot, and sometimes it could fail. I know some people suggest you can add on chalk to counteract the acid. However, I'm against that. Totally just a personal choice. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to add on the concentrate into here. If you like a really dry wine with not too many undertones, then it's absolutely fine. Saves money as well, I suppose, but I do like deep, rich wines. Okay. So I want to make sure that before we add on cold water, I wanted to make sure that the sugar is dissolved, at least majority. So excited, so excited. Okay, right. Let's get in with the water. As I said, I'm going to put in 15 litres of water. Okay, splat attack. Hold on, turn it better way. I am keeping those bottles after, so that's why I bought the 5 litre ones again rather than the 2 litre ones. You could, guys, use the because we've got the filter. I could have done it in a filter, but I'll be sort of going back and forth with the jugs for the sake of video, so I'm using the bottled water we have. Whoa! It's much rather easier to make this little tornado with a smaller bottle, not a 5 litre. Oh, look at that, you can see colour a little bit already. Obviously boshing it with the rolling pin, you can see it releases the colour of the skin. That's going to give us wine a nice colour. Right. Last one. I feel it was splatting my eye then. It did that in the last wine video, something else splattered in my face. By something else, I mean it was water as well, I think. Right, okay, off you go. Last one. Yeah, not swirling that well. That deformed my bottle. Okay, right. So guys, last one went in. Give it a mix up again. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a sample of liquid before I add on the yeast and the nutrients to measure the gravity. Let's get that out. It should be around 1. Okay, let's get this in there. Did I just lost it? What a plonker. Hold on. It looked like I lost it. No, it's gone in. So we're taking the original gravity, and then we will take the final gravity when the wine is ready to indicate to us what percentage of wine we have created. I've done the banana wine, which turned out to be absolutely amazing. It was about 14%, and I still have it. It's been about 3 years now. I am going to open one of the bottles because I left it to age, sorry. So let's see where we're at. So I'm putting it into the gravity thing here. It is around actually 1.04, so that's okay. So we're going to make a note of that. So what I'm going to do now is we need to add on yeast. So the water's still warm, so I'm going to sprinkle I think it says we need 1 spoon, 1.5, so half to 1 spoon for 4.5 litre. So here we go. So we need to go a few spoons, 3. So I'm going to sprinkle this on top. And as I said, if you buy separate yeast and separate nutrients, that's absolutely fine. Just follow the instructions. Okay, because my spoon is small, I'm going to put another one on. I found sometimes if you haven't started fermenting in a couple of days, just add on a little bit more yeast in the warm water. So let's give that a good mix up again. All I can smell is yeast now. Right, well guys, this is as simple as that. So what I'm going to do now is to put the little collar and the lid on top. Here we go. So collar is there in this instance. When the wine starts to ferment, it catches all this scum and the foam in the collar, so then I can take it off and we're left with a clean bucket. However, we're going to be transferring this after it started fermenting into a different bucket without the rhubarb. So cool dark place, no, warm dark place, shall I say, and we'll come back to it in about a week's time and I'll show you what's going on. So guys, as you can see, my bucket has changed. If you followed the video closely, when I was pouring the water, the tap from my Cooper's bucket clearly gave up the ghost. And when I finished filming that just previous part there was a puddle of my wine or whatever stuff, the water had been coming out. So unfortunately, I had to change the bucket, and again, good job I have few of the broom buckets, because otherwise I've been in deep trouble. But yeah, it looks like the rubber on the tap, well, obviously when you put it in, the rubber seals the liquid, and it was fine when I put a small amount of water to test it, but because I've put so much water in there, clearly the pressure just gave up and just ruined it. So I have to hopefully find a replacement tap for my broom bucket. They are honestly like the best taps, far more superior than the taps on there, but unfortunately they are specifically for those buckets anyway. But no, sorry, I just wanted to film to let you guys know, so when you see me next time with this bucket, you actually know and aware why suddenly the bucket's changed, because the other one, it's broken temporary. So anyway, over now. So guys, I have left this wine for about 7 days, and it is still got a little bit of fermentation left, but it is pretty much finished. So this is at the moment what we have. It's still cloudy, obviously the process is not finished. And if you give it a taste, this is kind of stage you guys decide whether you want to make any alterations to your wine. As it stands at the moment, it is very, very light. It is kind of fruity, like a rhubarb fruity. It's very subtle, and it only 6.5%. I've done the other gravity measurements, and yes, 6.5%. Although it's not fully finished fermenting, however, it is pretty much going to be around this mark. So if you're happy with this, and I think it's kind of a-okay percentage for the wine or for the cold beverage in the summer, that is absolutely fine. However, for me, I would like to make it a little bit stronger, and this is the time to do it. So if you also wanted to make it any alternations in terms of the taste, you can add on anything potentially extra to slightly change the flavorings of the wine. It is not overly a deep flavor, is that it's very much sort of two-dimensional. So I want this wine to be a little bit stronger, and I want it to have just a tad little bit of sweetness and a little bit more depth of flavor. So because I have I said to you guys, I've got to be transferring this to the other bucket. Luckily enough, my Cooper spare tap has arrived, so I will be transferring this now into the Cooper's bucket. I will be getting rid of the rhubarb that it is now there, because it kind of already discolored. It's done its job. We've drawn all the colors you can see into our glass, and I'm going to be adding on another 2 kilos of sugar, but rather than diluting this in water or diluted in here, which will be probably pretty much impossible, bear in mind the current temperature of the wine. So I will be warming up a liter of apple juice, diluting 2 kilos of sugar, adding into the Cooper's bucket, and then transferring the remainder, because we still have a residue of yeast in there, and even after straining the rhubarb, we'll have yeast in there. It will start a second fermentation, so it will eat the sugar and it will convert this extra sugar into the extra alcohol. So up to my calculations for
extra 2 kilos of sugar here and also sugar in the apple juice, we should reach around between 12 and really 14% of by volume of the wine. So without further ado, I'm going to get this done and we'll get that transferred. So I'll see you in a second. So guys, I have made our apple simple syrup. So 2 kilos of sugar and 1 kilo of apple juice. Again, I've done this for the ease of basically diluting the sugar into our liquid, and we need some warmth to activate the yeast yet again. So our rather warm liquid goes into here. And what I'm going to do now is to basically transfer the wine from here, but leave all the rhubarb behind. I am going to use the sieve to cover the tap, although it's okay for the little bit of rhubarb to get into there. That's absolutely fine, because we're still going to obviously second time ferment it, and then we're going to bottle it, so I can still strain it yet again one more time. But for the ease of things, I'm going to try to get rid of as much of rhubarb as possible, and to make sure that the wine comes up as clear as possible on the second fermentation. So without further ado, I shall get a helping hand and we'll get this transferred into here. So here we are, with a little help from my friends, shall we say. I've transferred all of this stuff apart from the rhubarb. Of course, there's a lot of sediment there, we've got a little bit of yeast at the bottom, and all the main key stuff is got left behind. And we now have a really nice, crisp, lovely colour, even better colour, say, than what we did earlier. So literally as simple as that now. It's going to go back into utility in warm room for probably about a week or two, depending. I will keep an eye on it, I'll keep testing it and see what happens. And technically, it should stop fermenting, I would think, in about a couple of weeks. So I will see you then.
So guys, a couple of weeks have passed and there we have it. This is the rhubarb wine. As you can see from here, it has changed the colour. A lot of sediment, a lot of yeast had settled down the bottom. It is beautiful colour. Nonetheless, it's not 100% clear. I'm going to pour some, and I have tried some yesterday. It's actually tastes so good. So let me, without further ado, get a little bit out there. You can see the colour. A bit foamy. Do apologise. Yes, hopefully you can see that, okay. It's lovely colour, however, it's not 100% clear. Generally, when you make the homebrew wine, there's only two reasons for the wine not being clear. It's either the peptine haze from the peptine that's left in the wine, or it is the haze from the yeast. As my bucket's got a various slightly covings and indentations in there, I can see that it's got some yeast dust settled at the bottom. So my guess would be that this is not peptine haze, this is the yeast. If you really wanted to clear a peptine haze, you can use the bentonite again, you can use other chemicals specifically for that. However, when I did put one of my little wine yeast nutrients, I'm pretty sure also had the clearing agent in it. And as I said, by looking at this, I pretty much 99% sure this is just the yeast that is still floating about. The fermentation has finished. It took an extra 2 weeks. You can taste it, you can see there is no fizz in it whatsoever. However, obviously there is a little bit of haze. However, this is okay, and it will settle over the time in the bottles. As I said, guys, it's totally personal choice. If you feel you want to put the bentonite in it or anything else to clear it, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't affect the taste whatsoever, and it doesn't affect the basically the longevity of the product whatsoever. I'm more of a kind of nature, like when I did some of the brewing recipes before, and I always tell you guys, in all honesty, that I much rather do the simpler the better, because we're trying to, as a preppers, of course, we're preparing to be able to make stuff and brew the alcohol just in case of we're not able to get it. And of course, and the fact is, it's actually a bit healthier and a little bit better for us than the short-bought stuff, because you know exactly what went in there, you know your procedure, you know exactly what's in there. And I'm kind of like, to be fair, the less chemicals the better, and that's why I'm choosing not to attempt to clear this, and I'm going to let it clear naturally in the bottles. So this was literally as simple as. So the level has gone down slightly as I've been testing as I go, as you do. And I had a glass also yesterday, and I was rather happy. As a tasteful goes, guys, right? I am so surprised. I'm going to test it on camera again. It is, by the way, turned up to be, sorry, forgot to say, turned up to be about 12%. And it actually, as a home wine, some people might think, oh, home wine is a bit, you know, lacking depth. But this one, it doesn't. It's got that multi-dimensional flavour because we have added on the apple juice and we have added on the the other little bottle of the grape concentrate. And I know you might think, well, actually that doesn't quite make it, doesn't really make it the rhubarb wine, but you guys, the rhubarb wine that gives it the color, the rhubarb gives it the color, and you still get this flavor, depth of flavor of rhubarb, but not rhubarb as like a fresh raw rhubarb, because it smells a bit sour. But you know when you bake rhubarb and it's got this sort of caramelized sweet flavor, this is what you get from that. And after tasting it a few times, I'm trying to work this out what it was, and it's literally, yes, it's kind of like a candied rhubarb, candied sweet rhubarb. It's got, it's medium dry sweetness. It does have a lot of aromas in there. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not the chateau or anything like that, but I am super happy considering after this. So I had a 20 litre, is it 20 litres or did I do 15 litres? Sorry guys. Yeah, it was 20 litres all in. Okay, we do have quite a bit of sediment at the bottom, and I'm again one of those people, I probably end up wasting a little bit because I want to get as little of the yeast sediment into my bottles, because I am intending to keep those bottles for a little bit longer, because 20 litres, even without the sediment, we are looking more than 20 bottles of wine. But with the stuff that's gone left behind, we're probably looking about 20 bottles. I'm not going to film this guy bottling this on the video. It's absolutely pointless. You guys know how to do it if you've done this before. If not, it's simple. You just sterilize your equipment and the bottles and you pour your wine into it. I've got the tap in there. It's really easy peasy done. I am intending though to firstly include a couple of bottles for myself in a near future to enjoy my beverage. It will be really lovely with a probably, I say a bit dodgy, but a little bit of ice or just really, really cold. I think I'll bring up more of a freshness and that. Not that I suggest you ever drink wine with ice. However, I found, and certainly with the homebrew wines, it kind of, I don't know, just lifts it up just a little bit anyway. And I am going to put whatever's left probably in the plastic bottles. It all depends. I think I only have like 15 or 16 bottles with the screw tops, but nonetheless, the point is, guys, I'm saying to you, I'm going to put one of the whatever's left in the wine in one of the clear bottles, like from the Scrumpy, the big ones, the 2 litre ones, purely because I can then monitor how clear they'll get and over the time. Because in the normal bottles, even if you use a white wine bottle, which is the clear glass, because of the still how thick the glass is and how warped it is sometimes, especially underneath, because you've got the little hole thing out there, you can't quite see 100% the clearness of the wine. However, in the little big Scrumpy bottle, I should be able to sort of monitor this and actually see how long it would take to get the wine totally clear. As it sits there, no doubt it would change the color again, like my cider did and like the other wines do. For some reason, they seem to not say oxidize, but they just change color over the time. But at the same time, the flavor improves. I've done the banana wine before, which I'm not sure if I've mentioned or not, but I'll put the link up down there below. That turned out to be amazing, but very, very strong. It's been sitting now, they're aging for 3 years. And I am about to open one. I think probably I'll take it to the show and just to see how changed it was. Initially, it was really good anyway, but it was quite sweet. So I can only think it only gets better, as wine meant to do. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you find this helpful. If you do have any questions, please obviously ask below. But as a general, I'm uber pleased, and it's one of those things, the price wise, guys, it's costing like less than £1 a bottle. So if you think, yes, it's not free, of course nothing's free in life, but less than £1 a bottle, considering how expensive the wine is now. Yes, you can buy a wine for about £5 for the mediocre wine that you probably taste like vinegar, but honestly, this tastes so much better. Anyway, guys, well, thank you for watching. I wonder what's going to be next on the agenda with the brewing. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.